Let's introduce the standard autofocus setup procedure and related precautions for the Life Air Force Smart. Install the motor directly beneath or above the lens. Ensure that the LiDAR module is positioned as close as possible to the center of the lens, and that the motor is installed in a horizontal, parallel orientation. Use the included mini-map box, rod clamps, and dual-hole rod adapter to install according to your needs. Rotate the long-range LiDAR to the 4-degree position. Align the lens dividing line to the 4-degree area. Insert the motor battery and press the motor button for half a second to start the motor. The battery indicator will change from blue to another color, indicating that the motor has powered on successfully. The color of the battery indicator shows the remaining battery power. Rapid flashing indicates that Bluetooth is not connected. The motor channel indicator will also light up simultaneously. The channel indicator flashing slowly means that this color channel does not have any lens data stored. If the channel indicator is off, press the motor button 3 times to turn the indicator on. The motor can store autofocus data for 5 lenses in 5 different color channels. Once the channel indicator lights up, press the motor button twice to cycle through different color channels. Before setting, select the color channel where you want to store the lens data. Set the lens aperture to its maximum. Stick the focus card to a non-reflective and vertically level wall. If using a set with a controller, make sure the controller is turned off. Press and hold the motor button for 3 seconds to automatically calibrate the lens travel. Calibration is complete when the motor completely stops. For lenses without travel limits, you can use the manual calibration function to adjust the lens effective focusing range. After calibration, the lens will be locked and cannot be rotated. Press the motor button briefly, then press and hold for 3 seconds to enter the autofocus calibration state. After successfully entering the autofocus calibration state, the lens can be easily rotated. The channel indicator will show a quick flashing cycle twice. Rotate the lens to its closest focusing distance. Move the camera back and forth to align with the focus card until the focus is clear and accurate. Press the motor button briefly, and when the beep sounds, it indicates that the first calibration point is complete. During calibration, the indicator light will flash quickly. Ensure there are no obstacles between the LiDAR and the focus card. At this point, the channel indicator will flash 3 times in a cycle, indicating that it's waiting for the second calibration point. Move the camera about 0.6 meters backward from the first calibration point. For example, if the first calibration point is 0.9 meters, then the second calibration point would be 1.5 meters. Rotate the lens to ensure the focus is completely clear. Press the motor button again briefly, and when the beep sounds, the second calibration point is complete. At this point, the channel indicator will flash 4 times in a cycle, indicating that it's waiting for the third calibration point. Move the camera about 1.5 meters backward from the second calibration point. For example, if the second calibration point is 1.5 meters, the third calibration point would be 3 meters. Rotate the lens to ensure the focus is completely clear. Press the motor button briefly once more, and when the beep sounds, the calibration is complete. At this point, the channel indicator will either stay on the channel color or alternate between the channel color and purple. Autofocus setup is complete. The autofocus function is now active. After the autofocus is active, move the camera back and forth to test if the focus is accurate at different distances. If the focus at long distances is inaccurate, please refer to the previous setup steps and recalibrate. If recalibration does not fix the long distance focus, try the following. Set the first calibration point to the lens closest focusing distance, such as 0.9 meters. Set the second calibration point to 2 meters away from the focus card. Adjust the third calibration point to be 5 meters or 8 meters away from the focus card. In autofocus mode, press the motor button briefly. This temporarily pauses the autofocus function, unlocking the motor's travel so you can manually rotate the lens. Press the motor button briefly again to restart the autofocus. When the motor is in autofocus mode and connected to the controller, if the controller moves away from the closest focusing distance, the motor will switch to controller control mode. When the controller returns to the closest focusing distance, the motor will automatically revert to autofocus mode. After the motor is powered off and restarted, please first ensure that the color channel is set to the one where the previous lens autofocus data was stored. Then either automatically or manually calibrate the lens travel. After the calibration is complete, the motor will immediately start the autofocus function. Press and hold the motor button for 5 seconds until the battery indicator turns off, then release to turn off the motor power. Alternatively, you can directly remove the battery to turn off the motor power. To remove the battery, pinch it and pull in the direction of the laser arrow.